Just wanted to make a video to show some little trick that sometimes you can use with working on transformer things, electronic transformers. This is the transformer, and this is an old exit sign, and this used to be part of a battery charging circuit, which maintained the battery, and I don't think it actually powered the LED array when it was actually in use, because they had a couple 120 wires for the LEDs. But this main charging circuit was a 6-volt system, but I plugged this transformer into a variac. I fed in various incrementing voltages, and once I knew it was stable and safe, I went up to 60 and then eventually 120. And I discovered that there was actually this is three wires here, just like a pole transformer basically. Think of it like hot, hot, neutral. Or you can, in something like this, it would be like, say, this case, I believe it was like 16 volt, 16 volt, and in between there you'd have 32 volts between the outer two. And then the inputs over here on the top. And the LED array on this runs on 6 volt. So obviously 16 would probably fry the thing, 32 definitely would. So I kept thinking if I could use this for a power supply for this LED to run it off just direct 120. And then I had the idea, a lot of this came out of a commercial building. A lot of commercial buildings are three-phase. And when you have three-phase, a lot of the lighting and stuff, obviously, because the further the higher the voltage, the further the distance you can go. That's why the power lines are such high voltage. Anyway, in a commercial building, the lights will usually run on 277 volt AC, and that's what this orange wire here was for. Was a tap for 270. So then I got thinking, if it fed 120 into the 270 winding on this, that would then say it'd be a little over, but it would basically be like taking and cutting it in half and making the output voltage half of what it was before. Rather, it would actually be a little less than that because the voltage is even higher than because if you went from 120 to 220, and this was 16 volt output. If I hooked to the 220 volt lining, I'd have 8 volt output. So that's, or 9 volt rather. So that's basically reducing the voltage even more using the higher voltage primary, then putting a lower voltage into it reduces the output voltage. And that gave me something reasonable. I believe it was probably 6 volt. It lit up the sign, it didn't fail, it didn't do anything bad to the lights. So that's how you can work with a transformer if the voltage isn't always right. And I don't quite understand why they did this, but they have a transformer here, but then there's one up here too. And this was the same thing. The orange was the 270, the white was neutral, the black was hot. But this one has no secondary lining. This was basically, looks like they were just taking the 270, converting it down to 120 with this transformer instead of using this one, which I don't know why. Other than it's smaller, so maybe it was some issue with the load. I don't know, but this was also made for 270, so I don't understand that. But this one doesn't have a secondary, so they can't use that to power my LED. But this is a unique transformer because this is called an autotransformer because there's only one winding. So you'd still have a neutral, you'd have a hot, but in this case you could also put a 270 volt into it and get 120 out, or in theory you could put 120 in and get 270 out of this thing. Rather 277. I'm just rounding it, but incorrectly I guess. But that's sometimes what you can do with transformers. If you need a different output, you can mess with the inputs. And you can always put a smaller input voltage onto a higher voltage input. but you wouldn't want to put like a high voltage on high voltage into a low voltage input. Then you'd be liable to melt the transformer down because you'd be making a lot of heat and things like that. But you can, as far as I know, you can always put like a 120 to 220-volt winding. You're not gonna have any issue unless you're putting too much load on the other side of it. Then you might have issues, but you'd have issues no matter what if you, anyways. But that's just a little thing on transformers and how you can use them sometimes, and sometimes you can customize things when something doesn't quite work how you want it to.